I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Oops, the podcast. Giulio Gallerati, joined by newly engaged Ryan Lynch.
Thank you.
Wearing his fall's best outfit. Looking very good.
I'm trying to jump into the season.
'Tis the season indeed.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. I was in Florida recently. Had a good time. I definitely want to talk about it. But it was one of those things where I arrived back in New York and suddenly it was just fall. It was cold and brisk. And I know people say they love the fall. I don't. And I don't know why. Because in theory, it does make sense that it's a good time. Like everybody's back in the city. And this is like, I guess, a New York City specific thing. But I guess most places, you know, the in the country, the temperature starts to shift a bit in the fall in some capacity, whether or not, you know, you have like as fall of a fall as we do in the Northeast here with the leaves and all that stuff. I know people don't get that everywhere, but it starts to get cold. I don't know if I just have PTSD from school. I know we've talked about this, like going back to school, I always hated. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the temperature. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is. Also, when it's cold, like any ailment that I have gets worse. Any sort of joint or muscular issues tend to intensify when it gets colder. And I don't know. I don't like the heat that much either though, dude. So I don't know. I think I just like perfect weather. I think I need to move to San Diego or something.
San Diego for that sweatshirt, shorts weather.
Perfect
weather. I think while you were gone this past weekend, I think you missed our small window of sweatshirt and shorts.
Interesting.
That was it. Like 3 days of it. It's cold now.
I wore it yesterday. Maybe I'm like a bigger guy. So like Hill Dog yesterday on our way to dinner wore a full winter jacket. And dude, we were supposed to be going to dinner with our friends and we've been trying to like schedule this dinner forever. You know, when you have friends who you don't just like pull up on a random afternoon, like for whatever reason, it turns into this complicated thing, trying to schedule them at the perfect time. And then you just don't end up seeing each other. So these two friends of ours, I'm friends with this guy, George, and I've met his girl, and Hillary has not met either of them yet. So like we kind of live in the same neighborhood. We're going to meet up, right? So I'm talking with him back and forth, and we're trying to figure out what day we're going to go to dinner. And I'm like, I can either do Monday or Wednesday. He goes, great, let's do Wednesday. I go, great. I make the reservation. I set it all up. We start a group chat. He's like, hey, like group chat. I'm like, oh yeah, the group chat. And then I'm like, this is going to be, or I think he said group chat for dinner on the 25th. Okay. The week before. And I reply, not thinking twice about the 25th, being like, it's going to be the best Monday night of any of our lives. That was the only indication that I gave that I did not know the proper date. And I was the one making the reservation. So this is obviously potentially a problem. Okay. So we head to dinner and I text being like, all right, we just pulled up, like, see you guys in a few. And they're like, I thought we were going on Wednesday. And I'm like, fuck, dude. And I'm all like embarrassed. I look at Hillary who like thinks this is something I do, even though it's not. But, you know, here I am tasked with arranging a very simple thing of like people and having dinner and whatever. So I guess the point she made, which is true, is thank God it was that and not the other way around where they went to the dinner and we were not there. It's better that we went and they were not there. And they were funny about it. And George immediately like proved that it was my fault, which it was, just so that there was no question. He probably hated the idea of me sitting there being like, I told him the 23rd, even though I didn't, you know what I mean? So he quit. I also cross-referenced it just to make sure.
Yeah.
But alas, I fucked it up and you hate to see it, dude.
Sometimes, Giulio, you get a little too excited. It happens.
Sometimes you get a little too excited.
Are you still equally as excited for this upcoming Wednesday?
I'm excited for the follow-up.
That's going to be a fun little thing.
It's the week
topic
after.
of conversation.
Totally. But just proves the point, dude. Proves the point that now we kicked it 2 weeks down the road.
Yeah.
We easily could have probably figured it out sooner. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know why it gets so complicated.
There is some pressure now that it is like a scheduled date so far away.
I know.
So I hope this doesn't happen again. I hope when you get there, they're there.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll be able to keep it together. But you bring up a good point, which I'd like to dig deeper into. Sometimes you get a little too excited, Lynch. So I have my show on Friday in St. Pete. St. Pete Brewing Co. First time I've done a gig there. Usually I do Coastal Creative, but some nights they put me in a different room, whatever. So I do St. Pete Brewing Co. Great room, great show, blah, blah, blah. But there's somebody at the show who is hammered. And this is great. Literally right when I get up there, pretty much, she's like, do you want a beer? I'm like, no, I'm good on the beer, whatever. And she kind of continues to sort of interrupt a couple times throughout the show. It's not really a big deal, but it's definitely disruptive. But bro, this girl's a ride or die for the show, right? In no world am I going to like rip her. You know what I mean? I'm like, she literally goes, how did Lynch's engagement go? She's that up to date. So I really appreciate that, dude. Like those are the type of fans that you need and want. So like I felt bad because I wanted this girl. This girl was excited. She was here to have a good time. And she like pregame too hard or whatever. And she showed up and she was just like not able to really enjoy the show. So like long story short, it started there. She then started with the beer. She then asked about your engagement. And somehow that turned into us potentially hugging in the middle of the show. And I was like, no, we'll hug after. It's all sounding ridiculous, I'm sure. But you know, this person is just like pretty drunk and she meant well, dude. So like, I don't know. So anyway, then at the end, I think they're about to leave and she's going to give me a goodbye hug now. And again, I'm sort of like, you know, trying to not make that happen. And there's this bench between us and the stage.
And this is all mid-show.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing happened probably within the first 3 minutes. Second thing, 20 minutes in. Third thing, probably 45 minutes in to my set.
Okay.
She stands up, can't make it over. And everybody in the crowd's like, oh, no, don't. And then she stands on the bench again and we're all like, no, don't. And then finally she tries again and then just falls, bro. And I was like, so anyway, then kind of her and her friend were on their way out, blah, blah, blah. Joked about it a little bit. But I also explained to the crowd, I'm like, look, like, this, like I said to you, like this is somebody who is important to my business and who I really appreciate. And I want her to have a good time. So, you know, that's that.
She got too excited.
All
love to you, but it happens. You get a little too excited.
And I would have been less gentle with a person who didn't literally ask something about what happened on the pod that week.
Yeah.
Someone who's like, if it was just some random person, they definitely get less leeway.
I just heard your episode with Big Cat. Like maybe you would kick them right out.
Maybe because it depends. If they were talking about the act though, that's different. But if they're talking about episode with Big Cat, maybe different. But yeah, exactly. Like the point being, it was a tough one. And I watched the video back and I'm going to make a clip out of it, which may already be out by the time this episode comes out. But I'm like, oh, did I like bitch out? Should I have like hammered her? Some dude like yelled out roaster and I like didn't.
No.
But I got a bunch of messages after from people saying that they appreciated how I handled it, which was nice. And now that I've seen the video, I am glad that I got a lot of those because I guess there is this pressure as the comedian. You want to like be in control of the situation. I still felt like I guess I was. I don't know. Mm-hmm. You guys tell me what you think.
Well, it seems like the crowd was everyone was on the same team here. So the crowd, it wasn't like she was unruly and she was being an ass. And there is a difference between that and someone that's disrupting the show.
Yeah.
And I think gauging by, everyone's like, ooh, oh. Yeah. Like it was a full team effort there. So I don't think ripping into her would have made sense. I saw a little piece of the clip. I think you handled it lovely.
I appreciate it. You know, I'm sure that there's people in that audience who, and that's the thing that's a bummer about it, is that there's people in the audience who were probably frustrated by it. And I'm giving all this attention to a person who maybe like in the moment doesn't deserve it or whatever. But also like that ended up being like a highlight and unique thing of the show, about the show.
Yeah.
That people will remember. And so I think all in all good. But yeah, it happens and you hate to see it. Besides
the restaurant situation with you and our friend from this past weekend, can you remember the last time you got so excited that you like did something like that? Like you blacked out? I'm not saying drinking wise. I'm trying to think of moments where like I was so excited where I did too much.
Yeah. I have a great example.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to visit school after I'd graduated, like the year after. You're still sort of like weaning yourself off of college. So like going back, you're like, cool. You're like an adult now. Wow. You go back and you do all the stuff. So there was two girls at school who I sort of was into a bit. And Friday night, they're both texting me and I decide to go to hang out with one instead of the other. Now, the one whose apartment I went to, she ended up just kind of like toying with me a little bit, and we didn't do anything. We didn't like, nothing went down. And I couldn't help but think that if I had gone to the other girl's apartment, that maybe it would have gone differently. So I'm like, the next night I'm going to go. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to go to the person whose apartment I did not go to. And instead, what ended up happening, I like took a pill or something or whatever I ended up doing. I ended up not making it past 9:30 p.m. Woke up to a bunch of texts from both of them mad at me. And I literally not only fell asleep, I like fell asleep in my boy's apartment who was in college still, and I was like snoring and passed out. It was like such a beat look, dude.
Yeah.
In every way. But I got redemption eventually a year or two down the road where I ended up hooking up with both of them.
Fear not, oops, fam.
Fear not.
Giulio did win.
So whatever. But in the moment, like that, I felt so embarrassed about that for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's an example.
Yeah.
I don't know if too excited is the right word, but like maybe.
No, that fits though. Like just doing too much.
Yes.
And not knowing you're doing that until well after the fact.
Right. You have an occasion and you decide to ruin it by you turning up too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time, it was like the last day of school, and I was getting off the school bus. I must have been in 3rd grade. And my book bag was filled with all the loose leaf paper that I stuffed in there throughout the year. And I remember getting off the bus and just being so excited. And as I'm running up the street that I live on, I took all these papers out of my backpack. And I was literally like, I had goosebumps. I was just so excited. Something came over me. And I took all these pieces of paper and I shoved them down the sewage drain. I don't know.
Wait. What were you excited about?
Just summer. Like summer.
Oh, got it. So the school
I was a little
ended.
kid.
School had ended.
School just ended. We just got out for the summer.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I don't know what came over me. I don't do that. I never did that at that point. And I just took all my papers and I just stuffed it down the sewage drain. And my neighbor, she saw me do it and she told my mom. And I got in trouble for that. But I just remember like literally being so excited that I just like blacked out and did something. And then right after the fact, I was like, why did I do that, Mrs. Ilfeld? And she's like, I don't know. We need to talk to mom about it. So
Your neighbor like
yeah,
confronted you?
she was there picking up her daughter.
And she said, Ryan, what are you doing?
She's like, Ryan, why would you do something like that? The shame kicked in twice as hard as the blackout of excitement. But it happens.
That's insane.
It happens.
School fire.
Next time you litter a ton of stuff, just remember it happens. Sometimes it happens.
Was that like a spiteful response?
I
to
think so. It's
school?
like, yeah, I'm done with school. I don't need any of this anymore.
You're gonna give me a test? Oh yeah? Well, guess what?
Yeah. We used to have a bonfire at my house where everyone would throw all their books and their all of their notes from the year in there. That was a lot of fun. And then someone would always throw plastic in there, and then someone would lose a bet, and we'd stuff their head into the pit while they're inhaling the CFCs, something like that. And they had to inhale it for 10 seconds. We did that every year.
Nice.
Nice.
Wonder if there's any permanent brain damage done.
I don't know. This episode of Oops the Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Guys, if you're looking for a straightforward, simple, easy, clean way to get therapy, BetterHelp is the place for you. It is just simply the best for a variety of reasons. You guys know that I'm a big proponent of therapy in general, but specifically of BetterHelp. Some reasons that I specifically like it. I like the fact that if you need to break up with your therapist, it's way easier with the BetterHelp platform as a buffer instead of having to like awkwardly ghost your therapist the way it would happen in real life, which I have never thought was a fun thing. And I've actually stayed in therapy with the wrong therapist for too long because I felt too awkward about that moment.
I get that.
So I just kept going and I was like, oh, no, they're good. But I was just like, justifying it in my head when in reality I should have been out of there 6 months or a year earlier. So that's good. It's really easy to switch at any time with BetterHelp. They have tons of amazing professional therapists who have different specialties. It's easy to navigate what those different specialties are. You fill out a very quick questionnaire that helps not only hone and help you realize what you might need in your therapy session, but it helps them realize when they match you up with proposed therapists of whom you get to pick. And it all is just a good, merry time. So BetterHelp is the place for therapy. It's nice to get to do it within the confines of your own apartment or wherever. Find a place that's quiet enough to fit your preferences, where you have access to a smart device, and you can do some therapy and get on your way with BetterHelp.
Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/oops today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/oops. Forgive my voice today.
What happened?
I did too much. Not
did
too
too
excited.
much.
I did way too much.
You did too much.
Last, we were going to go to, I had a wedding in Lenox, Massachusetts, which is Western Mass, on Saturday.
Near like Springfield?
Yeah. Thursday night, Vic and I were planning to drive up to Massachusetts to see some of the family that couldn't come to New York for the engagement, just for a night. Then I got
the engagement world tour.
Yeah. Then I got a spot at 8:00 last Thursday, kind of a last minute thing. And so I was like, I got to do this. And so we had the car that we borrowed from my family parked in a garage. We were planning on leaving at like 4 p.m, maybe 6, and getting there around like 10:00. We end up leaving at 11:30 p.m. Thursday night to head up to Plymouth, Mass. And we didn't get in until 2:45.
Damn.
And then her brother wanted to take us out to golf that next morning.
How early?
So 8:00 tee time.
She plays too?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so we got 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, up at 7.
Were you asleep at 3 though?
Went right to bed as soon as we got there. We got there at 2:45, went to bed at 3. But anyway, that
But
already.
also, bro, that's that 4 hours is not as good as a 4 hours if you've like were just in your apartment.
Exactly.
You're like running on fumes. You needed much more.
Yeah, much more. I woke up with just that thick, chalky, sharp sore throat that you get when you don't get sleep. But it goes away once you do rest up. It's not strep or a sickness. But I muscled through that sore throat, and we get to the golf course, and it's pouring rain out. We end up not even playing golf. It's so bad out.
Damn.
And we stay out all day into the night.
What'd you do all day?
Just hung out with family.
Okay.
But like making our rounds. Went to the nursing home to see grandma.
Nice.
We wake up at 7 a.m. to go to Lenox, Mass, which is 3 hours away from where we were back east. Did a full wedding from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. partying and drinking.
So 1 p.m. Was it like mass and then the break?
Mass and then the shuttle straight to the reception.
At
and
what
that
time?
went from 3:30 to 10:30. I was up till 2 with friends I haven't seen in forever.
The reception was from 3:30 to 10:30. That is
Yeah.
legendary. Where was this venue?
It was like a farm plot of land. They had the whole area reserved. So they just had like acres reserved, and then they had an outdoor tent. It was lovely. It was lovely, and it was a good time. But, I mean, it all caught up to me, I think, yesterday. And so I'm feeling fine, but I just was like,
I know what you mean, man.
just not 100% right now.
Yeah, that's a grind. Yeah, man, I think, dude, I love that this is the theme of this episode because I'm experiencing that right now.
Yeah.
So I had 2 shows this weekend. They were both great. There's a Friday show, which I've already talked about. After that, what did I do? Oh, so one of my best friend's cousins lives down there, and her a pair of cousins. It's a girl and a guy, and they're similar in age, a couple years younger than me, but they always come to the show, and then we always hang out after. So we went out, had a couple drinks, whatever. I ended up staying up really late. I don't know if it was that like wired from the show thing. So I probably stay up till like 4 or 5, which is like aggressive, but I like theoretically sleep enough. I like sleep till probably 11 or 10:30, 11, and I'm fine. Like I'm not feeling hungover. I just was up too late, but still, like you probably need a good night of sleep after a night like that. So the next night, same thing, show, this time Coastal Creative. Another friend of mine from the tennis team shows up with a bunch of his friends. We go and get drinks after. All good. I had found out that at Coastal Creative, so Coastal Creative in St. Pete is a multi-use venue where they do a bunch of different shit.
At the same time?
No. Well, it can be at the same time, but this sort of was, but it was more like one peaked earlier than the other. But so my show is the only thing happening at first. Then they turn over the room and it's going to be like Latin night. So I'm like, oh, how fun. Latin night. I love Latin music. I'm going to go to this. Like it's rare that I get to go to a place that plays all the music that I like. I'm doing it. So I'm with my friends. We're having drinks, whatever. And then they are like getting kind of drunk. They want to go and get food. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to dip out. So I said bye to them. I go back to Coastal Creative. and the Latin night is underway, but it is like salsa dancing. It's not like reggaeton or like Bad Bunny or whatever. And there's some of that, but it's like mixed in with just sort of like the classic stuff. So now I'm just kind of fascinated by this. I'm like, oh, look at all these people dancing. And it's interesting because everybody's like dancing with each other. So like me and Lynch, for example, there was no like same sex dancing happening, but like say that there was. This is a terrible example. Never mind. Okay, so
We would be dancing together.
we would dance together,
and
but,
that'd be normal.
but then somebody else would dance together. So like the different people are switching partners constantly throughout this whole night. And it's not weird. It's not like, and I know that this is sort of a trope about salsa dancing, that it's kind of like sexual, but it's not. So like all these people are doing all these dances and I'm just like fascinated by it. I'm sitting on a couch just watching. I've begun drinking a bit and I'm sitting next to this lady and I kind of just am curious and I start asking her about it. I'm like, so what's going on with this? Like, I was like, this guy's really good. She's like, yo, that guy is good. But like, there's another couple that's like the best. The one guy's an instructor. He's like really good. The girl with the white skirt, like look for her and you'll see. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I'm asking more and more. I'm starting to get a little tipsy at this point. So like as people are coming off the dance floor who I was really impressed by, I start like complimenting them and they're like, oh, thanks. And then I'm talking to some random guy who's about to move to Brazil. So I'm like learning about all these people, right? But eventually the lady who I was sitting next to, who's probably in her 40s, very nice, she kind of is like, you know, this is a pretty easy one. Like, do you want to? And I was like, oh, you're going to like show me? And I was like kind of embarrassed and shy. I was like, this just sucks because I want to just like know how to do it. It's like embarrassing to not. But anyway, she got up and we danced a little bit and she like showed me some of the moves. It was super cool. But the night does not end here, Lynch. Okay. From here.
You didn't do too much yet.
I haven't done too much yet, but I'm beginning to. Okay. I like, for example, I had tipped the bartender because first of all, it's customary to do that. In a situation like this though, like if there's no green room, there is a green room, but there's no like food. People aren't waiting on you in the green room. There isn't as much pressure to like tip. There's no person to tip. But in this situation, I go to the bar, they're obviously hooking me up. So I like hook the bartender up and I like send a very emotive message. So you know I'm starting to get there. Okay. So now, dude, there's a rave happening in the other room. In the other like space in the venue, which you can't hear through the wall. So as the salsa starts to peter off, I head into the rave. And bro, this girl was DJing who was so awesome and it was such a vibe. I end up there till like 3:45 in the morning. Just like, and like starts as just like this and turns into me like full dancing at this rave, like losing myself in the music situation.
That's amazing.
Dude,
what time did you walk in?
To the rave, probably like, I mean, I was still going back and forth between the salsa and that at like a 10 or 11 or like 11 or 12, but like the salsa fully wrapped up by 12.
Okay.
So from like 12 to 4, I'm just watching this unbelievable DJ just crush it. Dude, I must have taken like 30 long videos. Ted Jones, my boy, was opening for me and I must have sent him 5 like full length videos. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, I want to see one. Oh, dude.
So anyway, I send that video. We can embed this video in the episode.
I think
the
so.
girl's name is Amal Namer. She's Venezuelan, but of Lebanese descent, which I think is a very common thing for whatever reason. A bunch of Lebanese people moved to South America at one point. Lives in Miami. So dude, first of all, Hillary is like, is it normal that you were like that close to her? I was like, yes. And like in the world of this like me filming, it was normal. But bro, look how many videos I took.
Oh my God, the whole library.
Anyway, so then yesterday I'm like in the apartment with her like spinning long sets on in the background and Hillary comes home. She's like, honey,
she doesn't even need to say anything.
She's like, can we lower the volume a little bit? Like, are you good? She's like, don't we have dinner right now? Dinner that was scheduled for the wrong time. So anyway, dude, then I get home, I pop in a Lucy, and you know, I probably drank a bit too much at this point. So the Lucy makes me start spinning. I'm like, do I really have the spins as a nearly 40-year-old man? So I do what you're supposed to do in that situation that I've learned that always makes me feel better. I got naked and I laid on the floor of the bathroom and I passed out for 45 minutes.
There you go.
Woke up an hour later, hopped in bed, but like obviously didn't sleep enough, and now it's Tuesday and I'm still exhausted, dude.
That's what you do?
I'm now a salsa dancing raver. But yes, that is what I do, Lynch. The only true solution when you're feeling nauseous and sick is to get completely naked and lay on the floor of your private bathroom. Don't do it in public. And you maybe even want to brace your neck against the cold base of the toilet. You'll find an exactly perfect position to lay in and you'll fall right asleep, feeling no pressure about the fact that puking is imminent. It's a freeing moment. So highly recommend.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, pretty solid stuff.
Good
right?
for you. Yeah, dude, that sounds like a couple days after you're still dealing with it.
Yeah.
That checks out.
I'm definitely tired.
I love the idea of you sitting on the couch just watching 100 people dance, drinking,
Dude,
and watching.
It's just the nice thing about it is that like when there's no talking in the music, it's easy to focus on doing other tasks because there's no like overlap. So like you can just have it on the background. And it's just a vibe. Dude, this chick's gonna be a star.
Yeah. Well,
look her up. I'm all in the mirror.
I'll look her up after. We'll put her info in the description of the episode.
Yeah, she rules.
Give her an oops endorsement.
Dude, it was so sick. At one point, some dude like dropped like a Molly on the floor, and the people around were just like, I was like, what the fuck? Everybody's wearing sunglasses, bro. There's people with like their Burning Man outfits on.
Really?
Dude, it's crazy. Like I know that this is out there. I sound like such an unk right now, but like that was so much fun. Like I want to do that again.
Good, dude.
I told Hill Dog I'm a salsa dancing raver.
That's good. Would you ever go to Burning Man?
It's a tough sell.
Yeah. My barber did Burning Man and then he quit.
He liked it or no?
I think I think all I know is he was my barber for a couple years here. Then he was really excited to go to Burning Man, and then I never saw him again after he went to Burning Man. So something happened.
We don't know what happened. He might still be out there.
He's still around, but
What is it? Black Rock City? Is that what it's called where they do it?
I'm not sure.
Can you look it up? But dude, so the thing about Burning Man, I don't like any situation where I need to set up camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, sure, I'm sure people get experience with Burning Man and they take pleasure in it and whatever. Like if I
Black
could,
Rock City.
Black Rock City. If I could go to Burning Man and then stay in a hotel that night, I would definitely be down. I know every Burning Man person would say that's a complete cop out and that's not what it's all about. And like, fine.
It's like the opposite of what it's all about.
Yeah, there's something cool about this like agrarian society where people barter and there's no money or whatever the fuck they're doing out there. I like the idea of it, but like I said, I don't like gear intensive activities. I don't like carrying skis or fucking supplies, dude.
Yeah.
You lose me at supplies.
You got to deal with the uncontrollables. A couple years ago, it was very muddy.
Yeah.
And it was like hell to get in and get out.
Bro.
And but it happens regardless of the weather. So you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And that includes setting up more stuff than you would even want to, even if the weather was perfect.
Being prepared for everything. It's like that show Outlast, where people live in nature and shit. But anyway, dude, a couple of my boys like insist on going every year. It is a complete non-negotiable. Like a friend of mine's married and like his wife knows that like when Burning Man happens, he's going and there's nothing she can do about it. It's such an important part of his life. Did you watch that show Outlast?
I've seen clips of it.
So there's a show on Netflix called Outlast. It's basically, I've never really watched Survivor and any of these other shows. The thing that's different about this one in particular is there's a kind of team element, meaning that you're not allowed to just be on your own at any point in the show. So everybody, there's like a draft at the beginning based on just appearance and whatever people say to you. So sometimes people oversell themselves. And say me and Lynch and two other guys are on a team and I'm like the greatest survivalist in the entire world. If my 3 team members tap out and I'm alone, if another team doesn't want to take me on, I'm off the show. And there's incentive to not take me on because if our team is 5 people, the prize is $1 million. So by having 5 people instead of 4, that very much dilutes the pot of potential earnings. So, and I guess I don't want to spoil the show for anybody, but all I'll say is that this season of the show made me not want to watch the show anymore.
Gotcha.
I was really frustrated about the way that they did it all. And it just felt like they manipulated the show in a way that made it not fun to watch. And I don't intend to continue watching.
Okay. Yeah. Well said.
That's all I got.
Really, I had to say that.
I had to say that,
I
Lynch.
had to share it.
I had to.
Good to know.
So yeah, I don't know. Outlast. Like, what shows do you recommend? I'm like, well, I know the shows that I do not recommend, as a matter of fact.
So a bunch of stuff that just came out. The Penguin looks really good.
Oh,
I
is
heard
that
it's
first season?
Yeah, I heard it's a killer crime. I heard it's a killer crime thriller. I heard it's really, really good.
I mean, his performance, if you guys haven't seen the newest Batman, Colin Farrell's Penguin is like one of the greatest villain portrayals I've maybe ever seen.
Mm.
Did you see it?
I saw it, but it's been over 2 years now. I kind of forget his performance.
Dude, that is the problem with any sort of episodic thing at this point. The things are so good that they just take a long time to make.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like stay engaged.
Yeah. I'm very eager to see Joker 2 or
Yeah.
whatever different name it is.
With like Harley Quinn or whatever.
Yeah, with Lady Gaga in it. It's supposed to be a musical. But that movie came out 5 years ago.
I know.
That's crazy to me.
Crazy, man.
Crazy stuff, dude.
Crazy stuff. I'm definitely excited to watch that. I want to watch it. But dude, one thing that I was really encouraged by this weekend, by the way. So I've been to St. Pete. I started like headlining on the road regularly. I want to say at the beginning of 2022. I had done a kind of scattered, I'd probably headlined 7 or 8, 9 gigs my whole career up to that point, in my 14-year career leading up to that point, which is crazy. But anyway, for whatever reason, I just didn't end up doing it. And I started in 2022. St. Pete, I think I've headlined 4 times, but I've been a 5th time because I was there for the festival as well. So it's a place now I've been a ton of times. But it's amazing how I feel encouraged that no matter what, I'm able to find new, interesting stuff to do all these times that I visit these different places. In the past, there was a national park that's sort of nearby. I've been to it. My buddy Jared, who always drives up, I went down to Bradenton, Sarasota. I've done a variety of different things. And this time I still had a super dynamic trip. Like obviously the salsa and the rave, but also I found this like recovery house kind of thing. It's called Vitality. Check it out if you're in St. Pete. It rules. But basically they have every single like recovery thing that exists. Infrared sauna, cryotherapy. They have this thing called PEMF, which is basically like this bed you lay on that like, have you ever been where they put like the electricity things on you to like stimulate your muscles?
I've seen that. So
this is like the entire bed does it to you. They also had like a cold and hot thing. I did like 5 different treatments. It was so fun. And so I wanted to give them a shout out. Definitely go check that out. Downtown St. Pete. They have a couple of locations, but that's one that I went to.
An electromagnetic mattress.
Yeah, dude. It was super cool. And shout out to everybody who works there. And yeah, man. And even like in LA, like shout out to Mane for, who's a sort of longtime supporter of the pod and now friend, Mane and Ani, who live in LA, but they originally came to see us at Oops in the city. I don't know, Lynch, you may not even have been in the mix yet. It was our first Oops live show that we ever did, which was in New York at City Winery.
I think I was there.
I think you were there. And so anyway, in LA, we were in Pasadena, obviously had the show. And then after, they know this about me. They're like, what will Giulio really enjoy? And like, this is not necessarily a thing that any person would have wanted to do, but like, they literally took me to this bar in Glendale, which is like where all the Armenian people live. And there was this belly dancer who was like swallowing swords. And like, it was the most fun thing of all time, bro.
Are they really swallowing the sword?
I'm pretty sure she was like actually swallowing swords, like fire, like she was doing all sorts of crazy shit. This woman was like 55, looked unbelievable. Like it was just so much fun. So I like that people who support me know that I like doing random eclectic shit, but I'm always convinced that there's more to do in any given place if you have the energy to seek it out.
How close were you to the sword swallower?
Bro, at one point she like made me get up and dance with her.
Okay, that's pretty close.
Oh, but so like the actual sword itself, are you skeptical about it?
No, I'm not skeptical. I just don't get it.
I think that like there's a way that you just make your whatever throat, esophagus, everything just like completely straight. And the sword must be super dull too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that checks out. The way I'm visualizing it is like a picture of a snake where it kind of does like an X-ray, and I just picture you holding his mouth open, and then it would be super straight.
Yeah,
right.
I think you're spot on.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. And how was the belly dancing part? Did you try to do that?
No. I don't. It wasn't really a you do that too situation.
They probably would have been pissed. Wait, let me try.
No. Yeah.
But then you do it better than her. Did I tell you about the fight that took place near my apartment yesterday?
You told me that there's people just hanging out outside your building.
On my walk back home, I walked by this area, and there's just a group of like 15 to 20 to 25-year-olds, and they're kind of just all congregating around this abandoned building. And I think nothing of it. I also have been walking by recently, and I see police cars there, and I'm like, okay, something's up, but still.
How big's the building?
So it is a brownstone on a corner, and then connected to it through the backyard is like a pretty big garage, 2-story garage. And so from the outside, they look like two completely different properties, but if you like go and like look around, and from what I've read, they're connected.
Okay.
And so I think these people have infiltrated this building because it's been abandoned since we've moved there.
Got it.
And I've heard there's some people in the building that live there and pay rent, and they're terrified because they're throwing parties and stuff in this building. Regardless, I think somebody reported them, and this is just what I gathered from like what I saw on Reddit. The story is the owner of the motorcycle shop called the police and filed a trespassing report. I know there's squatting laws, and I've looked it up online, and one says that they're allowed to stay if they've been occupying the space for more than 30 days with no intent to leave. I also saw that laws have been passed back in April where you can't get away with it just by doing that anymore.
Interesting.
New York and California have pretty interesting laws that protect people that are occupying a space that is not being used.
Right. Famously has not gone well.
Yeah. And so I think these people found this property, and they thought the motorcycle shop owner ratted on them.
Which he did, right?
I don't know for certain.
Got it.
I don't know for certain, but they went over the other day and they knocked over one of the motorcycles. And this place, like, we took Vic's dad there, and we were like, let's get him a t-shirt so he remembers his trip to Brooklyn. The t-shirt was $75. Like
at the motorcycle store?
At the motorcycle store. And so like, and these motorcycles, like these are like,
It's a real deal.
like gorgeous. I don't like motorcycles, but like I know that they are not your average Harley Davidson
And
bike.
are the dudes like tough guys like motorcycle people tend to be?
They're like little French guys, but they're mighty. And
They're French guys? It's
yeah,
so
they
random.
French. When I've gotten coffee at this place with a
At the
couple of
motorcycle
friends
shop.
at the motorcycle shop, and
What the fuck?
and I shit you not, everyone that was walking in and walking out was speaking French,
Including the biker dudes.
The biker dudes. They were flipping back and forth, but then when they were talking amongst themselves, they were exclusively speaking French.
Do they look like biker dudes?
No, they look like they all look like the bad guy that screws over Jennifer
yes,
Coolidge.
Yes, the boyfriend.
They all look like him.
Got
They
it.
all look like him. Regardless, that's besides the point. I read that because they thought that he called the police on them, they went over, knocked over a motorcycle, and then there was a fight that took place. Hair was grabbed. People were pinning the person that pushed over the motorcycle to the ground until the police came, and I think that person was arrested.
With the squatter?
The squatter.
Good.
And the protesting squatter.
What are they protesting?
I think he was like, you ratted on us. How dare you rat
they were
on us?
Protesting being ratted out. It
They
wasn't
got
like
pissed for
political.
getting ratted out.
How old are these squatters?
20 to 25.
Jesus.
And now whenever I walk by, I have, in order to get home, I need to walk by them. And then I live a little further past them. But they are occupying that corner. Because like I mentioned, there's the brownstone here on this one road. And then there's the garage here. And so they have people on the stoop of the brownstone, kind of just scoping everything out. It's very sketchy energy. It's just,
Very
it's
sketchy.
intimidating. And I accidentally made eye contact. Not accidentally, I was looking over. I made eye contact with one of them, and he locked eyes with me, and he stared me down. There is somebody walking between the stoop and the end of the corner with a cane and making hand signals and gestures to the people guarding the garage door. So something's up. They're like a bunch of like NPCs in like Batman Arkham Asylum, like just insane.
So sketch.
Insane. And so it's just weird.
Are they being, so they're throwing parties and being loud and disruptive?
That's what I've read. I wouldn't know firsthand.
Yeah. But so is that, cause I'm trying to think like if people are just squatting, but it's not affecting you at all, that's potentially fine. But like, it's hard to imagine a squatter who like has their shit together and doesn't become like a burden somehow. Like, is there running water in these apartments? Like, are they disgusting? Like, maybe. Are they loud? Maybe. Like, they seem to typically be a group of people who are
Not
a problem.
amicable.
They're a problem.
Yeah, and I think there would be in this particular case. I think there's a difference between. I think there's a difference between a family looking for shelter and like trying to survive versus a group of like 20-year-olds that are like, oh, I found this place, let's take advantage of that,
Right,
and then
right.
milk this out by the book as long as humanly possible, and then do whatever they want with it. It's a sketchy vibe when I walk by. And it's not a well lit area, so it's just weird. And so there's a lot of tension right now here in the Berg. So I'm excited to see what happens because I'm nosy and I love this stuff. But
Lynch loves it.
I don't
Peeking through the blinds.
Yeah, I wish I had a view, but the other day I did hear from a couple blocks. I heard an argument that turned out to be that bike fight.
Wow.
So we'll see, but just. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't even know what to do about it, but it's a little weird. It's a little
concerning,
murky.
Lynch. It's concerning.
And off mic, I'm freaking out.
So when you've walked by, what do you see in there?
All the windows are boarded up. Dude, it's literally
Do the
like
people look kind of gross?
yeah, they look gross and grungy.
They're
and,
like
and
they're like
altercative.
crust punks.
Yes, I've never heard that term, but I know exactly what
The
that
people
makes
who
sense.
hang out on St. Mark's who are like white 20-somethings who have their dog with them for some reason, and like you suspect they don't have to be living on the street, but they are.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know a few people that are famous online that are on St. Mark's
Crusties.
and doing that crusties. So it's just like it's not the Brooklyn vibe. If I'm being honest. I mean, we got families with their young families, and people walking their dogs, and you have to walk by these people, and like you just have to be prepared for an altercation because. The cane's really throwing me off, and the pacing back and forth. Like, are other people trying to infiltrate that apartment so that after 30 days they can say that they're the ones occupying it?
Right.
Is it going to get violent? Like
Anarchy.
I 24/7 the last couple days that I've been home. Like, if I'm walking by to go to the bodega or something, there are people late at night patrolling the street, literally like NPCs in Gotham City. Like they're just like, and they're just like they're waiting for something or someone to give them a dirty look. And that's just not the vibe that I like.
That's not the vibe.
That's not
bro.
the vibe,
We do
dude.
not. That's not the vibe.
They're doing too much.
Yes.
They're doing too much. And maybe I'm not doing enough.
I don't know, Lynch. I think you don't want to.
I don't want to.
You don't need to directly
No.
confront any of these people, I don't think.
This is not a Chipotle protest situation that I want to involve myself in. This is not complaining about how oat milk costs more money at coffee shops than dairy milk. This is out of my jurisdiction.
Yes.
This is out of my line of
Comfort
expertise and comfort zone. But I'll keep you guys updated because this has been, the documentary will come out in 2025. I'm telling you, this is going to be a feisty little limited
You might have
series.
to film it, bro.
This might be a feisty little limited series.
You should do Man on the Street with them.
I could infiltrate them.
You could.
And I will tell you this, you mentioned like the
Undercover.
people that would squat tend to be like, grimy and dirty. I saw a ton of videos where this guy started a business where he will hire people to squat where the squatters squat so
Yes.
that they can overtake it. And a lot of these squatters, they aren't poor. They aren't, and this was in California, but a lot of these squatters, they're not poor. They're just taking advantage of the system.
Dude, someone was going to pay me 10 grand to go and rent an Airbnb in an apartment building that they owned because they knew that the person staying in the apartment was Airbnb-ing it. And basically what we were going to do was the last day or something, they were going to change the locks so the person couldn't get in, and then they were going to take them to court and evict them.
Yeah.
And I thought about doing it, but then I just was like, it's maybe just too bad of vibes.
I feel like you could get shot.
It's just like, and also it's like,
I feel like that's a dangerous situation.
what if I realized later that I actually felt bad for the tenant and I sided with them more than I sided with the landlord? Who knows? Like, maybe some old guy who like can't work. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I don't want to insert myself in this, even though obviously the landlord is right to be doing this. It's still like,
yeah. It's one thing if you're there and you're being peaceful. It's another thing, and not even like the intimidating staring, like whatever. You're living in a city, it's gonna happen. But it's the knocking over the motorcycle.
yeah, what are you guys doing?
That's violent.
What are you knuckleheads doing? How many of them are there?
I don't know how many people are occupying it, but there have been anywhere from 3 to 25 people.
Wow.
And they all just look like
That.
They all look like that.
Yeah.
White guys with dreadlocks. And we don't even need to describe it. They look like people that would live in one of the skate parks from Tony Park's under Hawk 2.
Tony Park's Hawk Tua.
Tony Park's Hawk 2 under Park 2 Skate 3.
Dude, that's great.
So
Yeah,
we'll see.
no.
I'll keep you posted.
Dreadlocks are a great haircut for that lifestyle because you don't wash them.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you're moving into a place that doesn't have running water,
perfect.
house hunters, squad hunters. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that. And
All
if
right,
some of them are
please do.
listening to it, I just want to say, Mom, Dad, Victoria, I love you. And we'll see you on the other
I'm
side.
not going to kill you, Lynch. Don't worry. All right. Well, that's a good app, dude. I think the moral of the story, do less.
Do less.
Do less.
Less is more.
Less is more. Stop borrowing from tomorrow. Live from today. I'm Giulio Gallerati. He's Ryan Lynch. Check us out at Oops Podcast. OopsPodcast@gmail.com. Send us your emails, your thoughts, DM us, all that stuff. I'm at Not Julio. He's at Ryan Is Really Polite. I'm Not Julio G on TikTok and Snapchat. Also, come see me in Columbus, Ohio, 13th. One-nighter special show. It's going to be great. The Funny Bone in Columbus, 10/13. And then 10/26, Seattle, Hereafter at the Crocodile. Pull up on your boy. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. I have some dates, October 10th in Jersey City. More details to come on that, as well as November 2nd and on November 8th. Just check my Instagram story at Ryan Is Really Polite. I will have more details on the venue and the situation, but love to see you there.
See you soon.
See you later.
Ciao.